What skill will help you climb up the career ladder and become the darling of any group of friends? It is the skill of communication and the ability to subtly influence people by getting their affection. Today, I'm going to show you 5 amazing ways that have already changed my life and the lives of millions of people. In 1936, the famous author Dale Carnegie published a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which won the hearts of many readers of those years and is still incredibly popular today. It was even recommended by Warren Buffett as a handbook on human relations that anyone who wants to succeed should learn. The book is big and it's full of tips, which I've compiled into 5 main and general rules that will definitely change your communication skills, and you'll be able to make friends with anyone. So watch the video to the end. The first tip is the ability to listen. Yes, many people suffer from a lack of friends and complain about misunderstandings with partners simply because they don't know how to listen and take an interest in other people's interests. Let's start right off with an example. Steve really likes Eva. They've already started communicating. Steve is interested in basketball, business, and comedy movies. And Eva likes to play the piano, walk in the parks, and is very interested in art. She prefers to visit a museum on the weekends. Steve really likes to talk about topics that interest him. He talks about himself and his interests all the time. After a month, Eva begins to feel unsatisfied. She is not interested in communicating with a man who ignores what she likes. She simply has lost interest. If Steve had communicated with her about music and painting, every meeting would bring the girl pleasure. And each time, Steve would get closer and closer to her. Remember, everyone wants to talk about what's interesting to them and likes to talk about their own business, not listen to someone else's. Use this way to become a good conversationalist. Listen more, speak about person's interests, and ask questions about the topic. This will be the first step to becoming closer and more interesting to anyone, especially if you are just starting to communicate. The second tip is to give benefit. If you need to get something from a person, there is an amazing way that always works. For example, you and a colleague have been given a task for 2, but you want to spend the weekend with your family, and you ask him to do most of the work himself. If you justify it by your own desire to rest, then of course he will refuse. But if you tell your colleague, "We'll say you did most of the work, and our boss will respect you. Also, he promised to give us a bonus. You'll take 70% if we get it. And you want a promotion. If we do the job well, you'll have a better chance of qualifying for the new position." Thus, your colleague will see 3 strong arguments for him at once: the respect of his boss, a big bonus, and a promotion. He will of course agree, because he will see the benefit for himself. Thus, he will do what you need, although he will be sure that he is acting in his own interest. Carnegie gives an interesting example. "I like strawberries and cream, but fish prefer worms. That's why when I go fishing, I think about what the fish like and put a worm on the hook." The third tool is importance. Everyone loves praise. We've been taught that since childhood. We like to hear nice things about ourselves. We like to feel how important we are in society. We need to use this to be a good conversationalist and to manage people. Take the example of Daniel, who has an assignment at the university that can't handle on his own. Daniel knows that Jack can easily handle the issue. He asked for help, saying, "Please help me," to which Jack replied, "Let someone else help you. I have very little time this week." Daniel was wrong. He should have changed his request so that Jack would have felt important and could not refuse. And so Daniel should have said, "Jack, you are one of the smartest people in our university. You easily manage to do any assignment. Could you help me with this question? I know you're very busy, but I'm sure you could easily do it in 15 minutes. Jack would have felt a rush of pleasant emotion from the hidden compliment, a sense of importance and his own authority. Of course, after that, he wouldn't be able to say no. Be sure to use this method of communication. The fourth skill is not to criticize. No one likes criticism, and no one likes people who belittle us. If you want to be a good companion, parent, or boss, refuse criticism. Use other means of influence. For example, your child doesn't want to go to school. It would be wrong to start criticizing him. "You're so bad, All the kids go to school and you don't. You may achieve a temporary result, but the child will also hate school and starts to hate you. A better approach is to find out why, and try to understand what he doesn't like and why your child doesn't want to go to school. And then, through a tool of self-criticism, influence him. Share your own negative experiences. Let the child know that you are the same way. I didn't want to go to class and study either. I liked going out with my friends. And that's why I couldn't go to university, and I had to work for several years in a factory instead of getting an education. It was a hard time when other young people were studying, and I had to go to work at 6 in the morning and so on for several years. So you better look at my negative example and spend more time studying. So the interlocutor, in this case the child, will feel a certain unity with you, will see the negative example, and most importantly, will not hear criticism. Studies have shown that this way will have a much stronger effect. And the final fifth tool is to admit mistakes and show understanding. Here is an example of Alex, who made a mistake in a report and now has to redo everything. The boss is very angry. It will take him 2 extra days. Alex knows what to do to avoid a big penalty. He goes to the boss and says, "I made a mistake, excuse me. I deserve a fine or a dismissal because my inattention led to this problem." The boss was very surprised by this answer, and the anger that was 5 minutes ago was replaced by understanding, "Don't worry, it's not a big deal. Everyone can make a mistake. You are a very valuable employee, and I am pleased that you admit to a mistake." In the end, Alex didn't even get a fine. But if the guy had chosen a different tactic and started making excuses, saying, "Everybody makes mistakes, I was distracted, I have a lot of work to do," he would have gotten himself in a lot of trouble. And just like that, it works the other way around. Learn to accept people's mistakes. No one in this world is perfect. Show understanding and get favor with anyone. We have a lot more useful on the channel. Be sure to watch the other videos and subscribe to develop yourself and motivate me to release new material.